The moonlight butterfly, such a beautiful creature. Who would think that it is a sibling to Gwyndolin, an aunt to crossbreed Priscilla? What do I mean, you ask? Well, I guess it's something I found lost in descriptions. Every detail in the Dark Souls franchise is created with extensive care. So, when two bosses share a theme song, you can be assured they are related in some way, shape or form. This is the fact for the Moonlight Butterfly and Dark Sun Gwyndolin, and it was this link that sent me down the rabbit's hole. I do want to make a disclaimer first and foremost. I set up on this journey independently and found my answers independently as well. However, as is typical of any academic research, it's advised to cross-reference your material with that of other researchers. Therefore, I set out to see if someone had arrived to my conclusions before me. In fact, the Ashen Hollow draws a very similar painting to my own in his Yorksha really Priscilla video from May of this year. Nevertheless, I believe my personal interpretation of the material to be unique enough to warrant this video. As such, let us begin. The link mentioned between the two bosses mentioned previously sparked a curiosity within me that set out to discover what correlation Miyazaki was trying to imply. The logical methodology to take from there is to check the items surrounding these bosses directly. I began with the Moonlight Butterfly. Its soul and its horn don't go into depth and leave it at the fact that it was created by Seath, the Scales. Nothing directly related to Gwyndolin at all. But before we jump onto Gwyndolин's items, I want to see if the items related to Seath would tell me anything useful. So, the next step is to analyze these items. To start off, I had a look at the Moonlight Greatsword, as its name is already a link to the butterfly. Seath is the grandfather of sorcery, and this sword is imbued with his magic, which shall be unleashed as a wave of moonlight. While not directly related to our established link, it's still very important information. Seath's power is that of the moonlight. It was this power that pioneered sorcery and that created the butterfly, a being capable of using a version of this same magical power. That, however, is the link of the Seath string. Thus, we need to turn over to the Gwyndolin string. Let's do it then. Throughout the whole franchise, Gwyndolin is described as both the Dark Sun and the Dark Moon. These tiny bits of information birth a wild idea in my head, but before that, let's dive further down into the items. Using the same methodology as above, I first checked the Moonlight set. The power of the moon was strong in Gwyndolin, and from the crown piece, it is imbued with Dark Moon power that enhances all magic. We're starting to make progress, and the wild offspring in my head is growing. Gwyndolin possesses the power of the moon and employs magic in his arsenal. Before moving forward, I'd like to point out how similar in nature the attacks of the Moonlight Butterfly and Gwyndolins are. A mass of magic and small projectiles of magic. Onwards. The Teen Dark Moon Catalyst says, Gwyn's last born and a legitimate god, but also a moon sorcerer. What struck me in this description is the use of the conjunction but. Why oppose legitimate god and moon sorcerer? The bulbous wildling pulsating within burst through my skull at this point. Gwyndolин's father, is known as the sun. Seath possesses the power of the moon. Gwyn is a god. Seath is a dragon. Gwyndolin is a crossbreed, a god born of a dragon. Or he would be, except he isn't perfect. Let's see the descriptions of the covetous serpent rings. A serpent is an imperfect dragon. Unfortunately, Gwyndolin wasn't perfect, as he possesses serpentine limbs and not the draconic ones. But there is more material that supports this conclusion. Take a look at the Dark Moon Blade Covenant ring. Gwyndolin, all too aware of his repulsive, frail appearance. And the Dark Moon Blade miracle. The power of the rays of the Dark Moon are manifested in vengeance. Gwyndolin is a frail creature with a vengeful nature, quite similar to a blind, mortal, albino dragon who turned on his own kin. quite similar indeed. We've therefore established that Seath is Gwyndolyn's parent, but the video is literally called Priscilla's true parent. Where is the Priscilla content? Well, let's get to it. When you desire to create something, you must first project a prototype. Only afterwards will you reach your final product. Seath was involved in the creation of a crossbreed between dragon and god. Taking Gwyn's essence resulted in Gwyndolin, but Gwyndolin was a failure. Maybe if you could take Gwyndolyn's essence, which had now a sample of dragon within it to begin with, he could succeed by improving on where he failed before. And he did! He created Priscilla. Let's read descriptions. First, Priscilla's dagger, one of the rare dragon weapons, from the tail of Priscilla, that dragon crossbreed. Second, the Life Hunt Scythe, Priscilla the stark white crossbreed. And lastly, the soul of Priscilla, the soul of this crossbreed bastard. The dagger confirms she's a dragon. The scythe confirms that she should descend from Seath by being pale white, much like him. The soul is what confirms her being descended from Gwyn's family. Know what a bastard is? An illegitimate child. Normally, a bastard is the child of a lover's affair outside of a marriage. The only marriage we know of in Gwyn's family is that of Guinevere and Flame God Flann, and it is here that most people stop. They fall for this trap. Let's read the source of this information, the description of the Ring of the Sun Princess. The Princess of Sunlight, Guinevere, left Anor Londo along many other deities, and later became wife to Flame God Flann. The mistake here is to assume she was married to Flame God Flann at the time of Priscilla's creation. Guinevere only married after leaving Anor Londo, whereas Priscilla was feared by the gods, which means there had to be gods in Anor Londo in the first place to actually meet Priscilla and fear her. If that isn't argument enough that she descends from Gwyndolin instead of Guinevere, then how about how she turns invisible? Isn't it similar to how Gwyndolin can create his own illusions, like extending the mausoleum's length, or the Guinevere we meet in Dark Souls 1? Not convinced yet? Thank goodness for Dark Souls 3 then. The Life Hunt Scythe miracle reads, Aldrich dreamt as he slowly devoured the god of the Dark Moon. In this dream, he perceived the form of a young, pale girl in hiding. Why would consuming Gwyndolin reveal visions of Priscilla? Furthermore, a young Priscilla, if not because he is her parent. Going back to Dark Souls 1, we find that in the Painted World of Ariamis, the Crow Demons drop Souvenirs of Reprisal, the item used to further your rank within the Dark Moon Blade Covenant. Moreover, the Book of the Guilty reads, the Goddess of Sin Velka oversees this list of the guilty, who have disrespected the gods or their covenants, and shall one day face the wrath of the Blades of the Dark Moon. Many other Velka-related items can be found in the Painted World, so it is safe to assume that this is her domain. So why do her servants, the Crow Demons, possess the prizes the Dark Moon Blades seize for themselves? Because they are Dark Moon Blades themselves by association. They strike down the guilty and keep their prize. Velka and Gwyndolin both were trying to protect Priscilla by keeping her within the Painted World and not imprison her. That is why Gwyndolin thinks of Priscilla as he is being devoured. He is thinking of her safety. Don't worry, I have further proof. Back to Dark Souls 3, in the base game we meet Yorksha, another crossbreed, much like Priscilla. We learn from her that her brother, Gwyndolin, took her in and cared for her. However, he took ill and
leadership of the knights fell to me.
Soon after that, Sulyvahn imprisoned her in the prison tower. It is important as well to note how ignorant of the world she is. She herself admits it.
I'm ashamed to say I know very little of anything.
But she knows of dragons and crows. The fact she knows little of the world, but knows specifically of dragons and crows, declares she was born in the Painted World, where these creatures exist. Now, if you're a monster and kill her, like me, We learned from Ashaim that Gwyndolin actually named her. Well, to know the full truth here, we need to check the items connected to Sulyvahn then. Let's jump on to the juiciest ones then, the Ashes of Ariandel ones. From here on out, there will be spoilers. Proceed at your own, free will. Sulyvahn was born and raised inside the painting, yet had little use for his frigid homeland. He came from the painted world of Ariandel. Actually, I don't. They're the same painting. Much like a painting in real life can be restored and painted over it, so too can the painted world be restored and painted over. The Rose of Ariandel says, Ariandel being the restorer of the painted world. That is why we find Priscilla's tower in the painted world of Ariandel and her descendants. Time for some chronology here. First, Sulyvahn and Yorksha are born in the painting, not necessarily at the same time. Second, they both leave, again, not necessarily at the same time. Third, one goes to Anorlando, still a child, the other to Irithyll, a young man. Fourth, Gwyndolin finds Yorksha, names her and protects her, telling her nothing of the world and only of her adopted family. Fifth, Sulyvahn meets Aldrich and pledges himself to him. Sixth, Anorlando and Irithyll collide. Sulyvahn finds a sick Gwyndolin, appoints himself pontiff, and imprisons both Yorksha and Gwyndolin separately. Gwyndolin is fed to Aldrich, and Yorksha is kept imprisoned but safe, perhaps as a keepsake from home. Much like paintings in real life, there can be more than one of the same, like we see in the painting Guardian set in Dark Souls 1. They have guarded the great paintings of Ariamis for ages. I believe these different paintings of the same painted world act as different doors. So Sulyvahn left through one door and Yorksha through the other. That is why they ended up on different locations. The locations these paintings were in the real world, so to say. Having found Yorksha and Anorlando, why would Gwyndolin adopt her? Because she is his granddaughter. There is no denying Yorksha is a descendant of Priscilla. Her crossbreed form, her knowledge of dragons and crows, everything points to this. Even if we deny Gwyndolин's relation to Priscilla, we can't deny his actions to protect her and now to protect Yorksha. So in the end, all evidence points towards the same result. I've been brooding over this theory for years, and it was with Dark Souls 3 that it was finally confirmed to me. Priscilla is the daughter of Seath and Gwyndolin, who is also Seath's child. And now we meet a new member of the family, Yorksha. And perhaps yet another. I hope you guys enjoyed this exposition, and I hope we start a discussion of the points I raised. If you like this video and wish to see more, do consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. Next time, I believe we should keep on the Priscillan train, but make a little detour. We should analyze the source of her Aliphant powers and how Havel may have influenced it. I'll see you guys on the next one.